Okay, so thank you everyone for coming. Who is here? Well, you're all here for the mentor training, but I thought maybe some new lawyers would be here. Is anyone a new lawyer? Good for you.
Oh yeah, I'll take that.
And the reason for that is we're doing this training because there are some changes to the mentoring plan that go into effect starting this term, so with the July 2019 term. So I'll be doing a general overview of the NLTP, and Kayla Kwam will be doing a more in-depth look at the changes that we made and the background why those were necessary. And then before that, we have Grace who will do an introduction kind of how important mentoring is to the legal community as a whole. So I will turn it over to Grace.
Well, thank you for coming on this. It's always hard on the last day of conventions because everyone's done, right? Ready to go home. Plus they make us get out of our rooms before the last session. If you're leaving today, it's kind of annoying. You're taller than I am here. So first of all, I'm Grace Acosta. I'm the Bar Commissioner, and I was the liaison from the Bar Commission to the new lawyer training program. And so the Bar Commission tries to have a presence on all these committees in the bar, and I have the blessing of being on this committee. So the new lawyer training program has actually been around for how many years now? 5? Oh, 10, then good. That's how old I am. But the older you get, time changes for you. So 10 years. I remember when it was first implemented. And so the concept was, just so that you know, is that we believe that lawyers learn better from other lawyers, and I agree with that completely. And this is where I believe our ethics component is very important. You're fine. So we believe that lawyers learn best from other lawyers because it's one thing to learn a concept in a book, it's another idea completely to actually have a real life experience associated with that concept, and then to have the benefit of the guidance of another person to help you through it. And so that is why we thought mentoring was an important component of this. And it has always been a work in progress. As over the last 10 years, we've adjusted it, and we're adjusting it now because we believe that we're trying to address new things that come up in the practice of law that we believe that young lawyers need guidance regarding. So those of you who have been a mentor, raise your hand. Been a mentor before? Okay. All right, and if you haven't, you should be a mentor. It's very beneficial to you as well as to young lawyers. And the process is that there's a plan that you fill out, and the young lawyer is supposed to guide the plan. When you're asked to be a mentor, the burden should really be on the young lawyer to help facilitate the entire process and to push it forward. But you're supposed to help them make selections in areas and go through different certain experiences so that they can have a full 1 year, if you will, of mentorship or apprenticeship under you. So this year we're adding on some more practical components because it's one thing for you to observe a deposition, it's completely different for you to do the deposition. And so we're trying to require more actual doing and less watching. So while learning in a book was one thing, watching was one step better, actually performing the task is like the next step, if you will, toward getting you to be a full-fledged lawyer. So I believe personally that ethics is one of the cornerstones of our profession. We have a lot of power. We have the ability to subpoena someone to come and answer questions when they don't otherwise want to. We have the right to get records from third parties, and so with that power comes a large part of responsibility, to quote Spider-Man, I think. And so our ethics is an essential component of how we wield that power. And if we don't have some sort of self-restraint or understanding of what's right and wrong, then we have a tendency to abuse our power. So ethics is a very big, one of the cornerstone understandings of being a mentor as well. That your job is to help cultivate the future generations of lawyers. And what you teach them through your mentoring process is essential to them succeeding in the profession, as well as succeeding as good people and good ethics and being ethical. So part of your mentoring, whether it is stated in the list or not, is to guide them through the encounters they will have as young lawyers. So you will see, you become a sounding sounding board for young lawyers as a mentor. They call you and they ask you questions. And that might not be on their little checklist, but it is essential to them being an effective lawyer. So, one of the things I want you to think about is, how would you want other people to practice law? And I think it helps us become better lawyers, but it also helps us guide the next generation of lawyers. So that is why, because I just said this, you get your ethics credits. I'd be very happy, okay? But honestly, I know I'm being taken light of it, but it is a very important part of our practice. And teaching our young attorneys how to handle adversity, how to handle criticism, how to handle being really adamantly on the opposite side of a position, and yet knowing how to handle the situation professionally and is a really important part of you making them better lawyers. And it's a good opportunity for us to grow ourselves and to ask ourselves, are we adopting the right techniques that we need for us to be good lawyers? So we do often lead best by example, but if you can't lead by example, at least you can guide your young mentees anyway. So, all right, with that, I will turn it over to Carrie, who is going to talk about the general overview of the program. And please ask questions. These things are much more enjoyable for us and for you, and a good learning experience if we get feedback, because then we know where the gaps in the knowledge are, and we can try to fill them in. So please feel free to ask questions. And those of you who don't know, Carrie is a full-time employee of Utah State Bar. This is her job. So we are very lucky to have someone so capable and willing to do this job working for the Utah State Bar. And she has done wonders for improving the quality of this program, ensuring that our young attorneys are being mentored appropriately, and that we are bringing out the best in our young attorneys and turning them over to be really full-fledged, adequate, and competent lawyers. Yeah, thanks.
Why didn't I do that before? Okay, sorry. I tend to be a little casual, so I apologize in advance. Sometimes that upsets people in a legal setting. I have had complaints before, so just want to get that out of the way. So when Grace talked about how old the program was, I was going to say that it's been 10 years, and I was thinking about what things happened 10 years ago, just in pop culture in general, because that's my history. So it's been 10 years since Obama was elected, or not elected, sworn in as president. Oh, I don't want to do that one. Glee premiered. Yay. Yay, okay. Farmville, remember that? That started in 2009. Doesn't it seem like so long ago? Oh, Michael Jackson died. I'm gonna stop. This is not. There's some horrible things that happened in 2009. But we've been able to have a successful program for this long because of dedicated mentors like you who put in the time and the effort to teach and give the new lawyers starting today a good foundation so that they can build their career off of that, and it will be a lasting career, something that they can rely on, and these skills that you're helping them learn will serve them the rest of their life. So, not that that's a lot of pressure, but I just wanted to make sure that you knew how much we appreciate you as mentors, because you're already busy, you have so many demands on your time, so taking time out of your schedule to help new attorneys is so important and so vital to the success of our program. So thank you so much, each one of you. Okay, I think I got everyone. Okay. So, well, if you don't know me, did I introduce myself? Okay. I've been doing 2 jobs, so I have to kind of like separate my brain. Sometimes it crosses over. So today we're doing the mentor training. And mentors, for me, I think are so important, and the importance of mentoring has been, the recognition of that has been growing and growing. So in 2009, Utah started one of the first mandatory mentoring programs in the country. Georgia was the state that we modeled our plan after, and since then, more states have made mandatory programs. More states have made them mandatory as part of a new lawyer's curriculum in their first few years of practice. So I think that the importance of mentoring is being recognized by the legal community as a whole, and it's important that, well, I'm not a mentor, sorry, but it's important that you recognize how important your role is, and I hope take the program, you know, with the dedication that you put into everything else. So thank you in advance for that, and I'm going to just get into some. Hold on. I don't think this is right. I'm so sorry, everyone. I'm so sorry, Kayla. That's the wrong programming thing. Yeah. That was what BYU students get. So sorry.
Boo.
Oh, BYU graduate lawyers too.
And I thought I had, oh, there it is, okay, yeah. It's not June, it's July, Carrie, that's why. Maybe this is why people complain. Because,
maybe it's just feedback.
well, you know, I thought I was prepared, but my old eyes. June looks like July, and that's how that happened. Now that we all know that. All right, mentor training. There we go. Now, let's start all the way over from the top. Just kidding. So, mentoring programs are popping up all over in state, at the state level, at the law school level. And so a lot of attention is being paid on the best way to mentor and how to do it so that everyone is getting the most out of it, because both sides will get something out of it, hopefully, and we want to make that process easier. So hopefully in the next year or so, we'll be implementing some more changes just to how the program runs to make things easier for you, and as far as matching with the mentee and that kind of thing. It's some software that kind of like dating software, so so it'll match you with mentors, and hopefully that will kind of help both sides, because that's been a big bottleneck, I think, in the past. So we're planning improvements that way, but overall, we always want to make sure that our overreaching goal, which is teaching new lawyers how to be lawyers, and teaching them, giving them the skills that they need to survive, and not just survive, just to thrive as an attorney, because there's burnout and there's horrible problems that attorneys have today, and it's not fun to talk about, but that's the kind of thing that you know, you should be discussing with your mentees, and this is, you know, the steps beyond just filling out the forms, which we'll talk about as well. So what, who's never mentored before? I don't think you have. And you, oh, good, all new mentors. Who's mentored, I mean, raise your hand if you think you've mentored the most times. You have. How many times, Tara?
Maybe 5.
Okay. And can anyone beat 5?
I was a circle mentor, I mentored 10.
That
That doesn't count, that's fun though.
Yeah,
Is that the rate?
Oh, that's good.
And I'm in that range too.
yeah. Yeah, I think that's, some people, can mentor, you know, more than one person. I don't know that I could do that, but
It was hard.
yeah, yeah. And especially if you're going to, you know, put the time that's required. So,
So just so you know, so if you're a solo and you don't have anyone that you can mentor, you can't find anyone to mentor, you can ask. And sometimes I'll put together a whole bunch of solos, they'll make a circle, we called it, like a sewing circle, and we would get together and do our mentoring together as a group. So it's not like one-on-one CLE, it's 1-on-5 CLE, 1-on-10 CLE, which was better, but it's still not the same, it doesn't have the same feel as being a one-on-one mentor, which hopefully you should love your people.
Karen, I've done 2 mentors 3 different times, and
Oh, wow.
I actually prefer it
yeah,
because I like the interaction between the 2 because they're typically coming from different backgrounds,
right.
and we all 3 of us the 3 times meet together, and those have actually been my favorite times. Not that it's that much ahead of one-on-one, but
Yeah.
it promotes more discussion.
Exactly. And for some people that's true, and for some people they like that one-on-one. So I try to be as flexible as I can as far as allowing, you know, co-mentors or someone to come in and pinch hit. You know, if you don't have a lot of experience in one area, you can have someone come in and help the new lawyer with any area that they're interested in that you might not know about. And you can sit in on those if you want. Maybe you'll learn something. So everybody wins. That's what I want this program to be, because we can all learn from each other. And I think teaching the practical skills to new lawyers is very important, and that's a reason why we implemented those new changes. And then, okay.
So Carrie, I have a question though. I've had some people complain that because they're in the same firm, their mentors are supervisor, they're doing it because it's convenient and easy, but they're not really taking it very seriously.
Right.
And so and that's an unfortunate situation that does happen sometimes. So how can we empower the mentees to say, I want to be mentor, or I want someone to do this for real, as opposed to just filling out the forms with me once in a while?
Yeah, well, and I definitely have had people come to me and say basically that, like, I don't know if this person will be a good fit, or I don't know that I'll get out what I want if I have this person. And I encourage people to switch, or to just, you know, get an outside mentor just to have some perspective, or a third party, like, sounding wall, or sounding board. So they know that they can come to me if they have issues like that, and I've made it clear that my goal and my job is to make their experience with the program worthwhile, and teach them that mentoring is important, so that when they get, you know, 7 years down the road, they'll want to be a mentor, but don't be a really bad mentor so that they be a mentor because you were really bad and they want to show you how to do it. Don't do that. So these are the goals of the program overall. Just to go through what you should be doing in the initial stages. Maybe you're past this, but in your first meetings, establish your boundaries. Be clear about when they can contact you, how many times they can call you, how many voicemails they can leave before you get a restraining order. Tell them that and make sure that they understand it. So, and you have to keep those too. It's important for you guys to keep the boundaries and make sure that they know that they crossed them. As much as you can, I know everyone's schedules are so crazy, but set a clear date, or, you know, set some meetings in advance so that you know this is on your calendar, you can't do this. for 2 hours this day. We've changed the meeting requirements. You need to meet 10 times during the term instead of 12. So the decrease was because of the changes to the section 3 that Kayla will be discussing. And just get to know your mentee. Get to know who they are as a person, how they communicate. Tell them how you would like them to contact you. Like I tell people, don't leave me a voicemail because I really don't like voicemails unless they're from you. Sorry. But I do better and I answer more quickly if you email me. So I tell people, email me and I'll get back to you quickly. And then that way they're not sitting by the phone waiting and nervous, because mentees do get nervous when you don't respond to them. So I know they seem like a little needy, but they are. I mean, I was needy when I was a baby lawyer too, so can't blame them for that. Oh, yeah, those are the changes. So the mentoring plan, which is what you'll be, or should be going over in your initial meetings, the 6 required sections. Number 3, where it just kind of wiggled, did you guys see that? That's the litigation and transaction handling experiences section. That is section 3 that Kayla will be discussing. So you have to require, or you have to finish the 6 required sections. There's elective sections. There's 17 areas that we have listed, but you can create your own. If there's not something already, an example that we don't have, you can make something and just run it by me, and I'll probably approve it because I trust you guys to do what's best for the new lawyer. So on the website, like I said, there's sample electives, and that just means there's a plan that if you want to do bankruptcy, it has the bankruptcy elective already filled out. And this is what someone has done for, if they do bankruptcy and estate planning or something like that. So that is a good resource if you have any questions about that. The plan acknowledgement is the form that you send in after you fill out the mentoring form. It's a summary of the mentoring form, and you come up with 3 goals that your mentees should work towards during the 12-month program. So your responsibility is to just be there as much as you can for the mentor and try to be as dependable as you would like them to be. So it's really not difficult to figure out. We're all smart people, so we can figure out the forms, and if you absolutely can't do it, I can help you. I'm more than happy to walk anyone through anything you might need. Okay. This is something I give to the new lawyers at the beginning of the term. It's just a timeline. They're aware of all the dates, and don't feel like you have to babysit them because that's my job. I send them emails and reminders about when stuff is due. So just be aware that there's a couple of progress reports that you'll have to turn in, and the completion form that you'll have to sign. But this is really their responsibility, these things, and we have to let them fail. So,
Or succeed.
well,
Let's hope. Right.
yes.
But I think this is important that people recognize that sometimes people, this is not your job. Like, as a mentor, this is not your career, this is not your license, this is the mentee's license. And this is how we learn to be good parents, right? We let them, I think that's what you mean when you say let them fail. We let them succeed or fail on their own merits. And so some mentors are like, I don't have time for all this. It's not supposed to be you. It's supposed to be them. You are the conduit by which they succeed, but it's ultimately they're self-driven. Is that right? So,
Carrie, can you explain to us what the process looks like for the mentees, so is it right after they pass the bar, then they have to go to this?
Oh, sure. Okay, so when a new lawyer passes the bar, or if they get waived in on the motion, they can get sworn in. There's 4 times a year they can do it, but we only do NLTP turns in July and January. So they find out they pass the bar in September, there's a swearing in October, and then they have from then until the end of the year to find a mentor.
And then if you send them like a list?
Oh yeah. But yeah.
And I see like a lot of the dates are around June and July to start, but if they were waived in or sworn in early, I assume it's fine that they start, you know, in
Yes.
May.
Yes. Yeah, so, and I keep track of, all of the people who are sworn in on the motion and try to keep a list of everyone, so. And I think the checklist, and I think the timeline, I think I sent to you as well. But I think the checklist is in the mentor manual. So, but if you want a copy of either of those, I'm happy to email you a copy. Just let me know. And we've saved time at the end for questions, but that is all that I had. Did anyone have any pressing? Yeah.
Just while you're talking about emailing stuff, would you mind emailing these materials to the participants here today, those who have signed?
Just the slides?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
And you all signed in. There's a sign-in sheet in the back if you didn't sign in. Okay. So, does anyone have any questions about the process? Yes.
You mentioned earlier that the law schools are starting to do something with this. Can you explain a little bit about what they're doing?
Sure. In Utah, well, actually,
Just worry about
Utah's a mentor of a national legal mentoring consortium, and it includes state bars or local bars and associations and law schools, and they just, get together every 2 years to discuss any progress that they've made and what works for them and things like that. So we went to the conference last year, and there were quite a few law schools. The University of Utah has a mentoring program. They're actually thinking about basing or using the same software to manage the mentoring program that the U uses. So we're hopefully that will free up some time to allow us to make real changes so that we can make this the best program for everyone. Yeah.
Question. So any recommendations or suggestions to the mentors about how they can get conflict waivers done for their mentees and how they can introduce the presence of the mentees to their clients? Any suggestions?
Yes, we created those waivers, and Kayla will actually be discussing those a little bit. Leslie Manley, who helped draft the waivers with Gary Sackett, she was not able to be here today, but if you have any specific questions about the waivers, it's probably best to email those to me, and I can pass them on to Leslie and Gary. They are the best people who to answer those questions. I would not get it right.
So those of you who have mentored a lot, how do you handle this with your clients? Do you invite your mentees to your depositions and to court proceedings, or do you just work through? That's how I mentor. I just let them shadow me, and I thought it was easier than me having to follow before. But easy like that. How did you do it?
I just asked the client in advance, and they never declined me.
Yeah. I had one person decline in a mediation one time. Yeah.
I just tell the client, this is so-and-so, a new lawyer, I'm mentoring, I've never had a client object.
Yeah.
Signed in.
One time in a mediation, it was such a sticky situation. The person was like, I don't want anybody else. The only time it's ever happened where they said no. Anybody else?
Well, let's we
Carrie,
did
can I
say
ask
time
one
for.
more question?
Sure.
You mentioned software a couple of times. When is the contemplated implementation of that?
TBD. I'm working on it, believe me, I'm working on it. So, hopefully by the time the next enrollment comes around. But it's going to depend a lot on the mentors too, because we'll have to have you fill out a profile like in a dating website, except for your career. So there will be other
Do we
options.
get to pick our pictures?
Yeah.
With my
No,
dog?
only if you have mugshots.
I can have
Then we
that
get
range.
to pick. Okay. Yeah.
Once we're signed up on the program to be a mentor, do we have to go in and re-sign up every once in a while?
No, if you're an approved mentor and you have an active license, you need to take a training class every 2 years. So that satisfies this requirement. And other than that, if you don't train for a few years, you're still approved. You don't have to reapply. Just you'll need to watch the training. And the only way you would have to reapply is if you asked to be removed. So yeah. So just don't do that and you'll be fine.
Okay, would you mind reminding us how many hours of CLE you get and how does that happen? Do we have to apply? I know.
12 hours.
I'm trying to.
Okay, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get it on.
You get 12 hours of CLE credit,
I
and
just
I
wanna do
will.
it to help people.
Yes. I will, but in case. I will be discussing that after Kayla goes, because it is important to get to the changes that were made, because they're, who knows about who's read about them? Oh, you guys, I wrote an article in the bar journal. It was good too. It was good. Okay, so Kayla's going to discuss those. Thank you.
How do I turn the slides? Is there like a next button?
Just
Either arrows or
press the space bar.
oh, sorry. I'm 5 feet, so I need it a little bit lower.
Really small, maybe large.
Okay, so my name is Kayla Kwam. I joined the New Lawyer Training Program Committee shortly after I completed the program in order to provide my insight into the program and also a new lawyer's perspective on how the program could be improved. So I had a really wonderful experience because my mentor was Sharon Donovan, and she was insistent that I get practical experience. So when I graduated, I was terrified of practicing law. I imagine the new lawyer can relate to that. I was nervous to even send emails. I hated when the phone rang. If a partner came in to give me a project, I was terrified. But Sharon really insisted that I take on a pro bono case that she second chaired. She had me go to the pro se clinics and argue. She had me, draft pleadings, which she'd review. So it was that security blanket that I needed while pushing me out. But other young lawyers didn't have that same experience. So when I asked my class how they felt about the plan, there was a lot of positive, but there was also a lot of feedback. And I also read the polls from the class that followed, and the feedback really aligned. So the three kind of complaints, I'm not focusing so much on the positives right now, but the three kind of complaints. Mentees felt overwhelmed by the plan. The previous plan had 12 meetings, once a month for 2 hours, and as Grace mentioned, it's really on the mentee to create the plan that they want. So they're needing to tell their mentor what they're looking for. If they want family law experience, but their mentor doesn't have that, they have to go find a lawyer who's willing to provide that insight. So mentees really felt overwhelmed. When I told that to the committee, they basically said, this is practicing law, get used to it. But we did want to shorten the amount of meetings so that the lawyers would be less overwhelmed. And we also were trying to get a little bit more of the burden on the mentors to, if they don't practice family law, do they know someone who would help the mentee? So we try to make that part of the change, which I'll talk to. The second part, which really was our main element, they were afraid of messing up or creating, a malpractice situation. And so that really spoke to the practical experience change, and that was the crux of the change to the plan. And then the third one is the new lawyers really wanted a safe space to vent. And we really didn't know how to make that change to the plan, but I just want to let the mentors know that these young lawyers are afraid and they are feeling vulnerable. So if you could find time to also step away from the formal plan and send an email saying, hey, I just want to get lunch to hear how things are going, so that they can find the space to vent or open up outside of the formal plan. So the overarching change to the plan was to incorporate the practical experience requirement, and President Robert Lund at the time did say that he sent a poll out to firms, and especially big firms, informed that the new lawyers are not to the level they thought they'd be and able to practice law. That these new lawyers are coming out and they don't know what the immigration looks like, or that on a caption, the petitioner and respondent should never change. So the firms are disappointed in the level of practical experience. So we want to make sure we get that for the new lawyers. The other changes we made, we clarify when the lawyer client relationship is formed. So if you're having the new lawyer just assist you and have the new lawyer come with you to mediation or deposition, that relationship's not formed, so you don't need a waiver, you don't need a type of retainer agreement. But if you're going to co-chair a case, that's when there's ongoing legal representation. So at that point, there does need to be some type of signed agreement from the client. There does need to be the waiver, which you can contact Carrie if you do want to get that waiver. But if it's just short, you don't need to worry about that. Then we added the requirement that the lawyer must have 4 practical experiences in the plan, because the prior plan said that the lawyer could participate or observe the deposition, participate or observe a hearing. And the path of least resistance, the new lawyer just wanted to observe or just wanted to talk about it. So really forcing the lawyer out of his or her comfort zone, even if he or she's not ready for that. Then we reduced the number of meeting times from 12 to 10, and then there were just some stylistic changes. So examples of the practical experiences that the new lawyer needs 4 of: participate in a clinic, such as the Wills for Hero Pro Se calendar, but it's important that the mentor be there to provide direct feedback afterwards. Take on a pro bono case, and again, be part of that experience so you can provide the feedback. Have the new lawyer draft 3 different written products and then review. Have the new lawyer run an in-office meeting. Have the new lawyer run the mediation and the mentors present. Have a hearing where the new lawyer is running it, and participate in a CLE such as the Litigation 101 series. And you can also create additional practical experiences. If your mentee's more transactional, then figuring out what that could look like. So maybe the mentee takes the first stab at drafting a contract and the mentor reviews. So it's important that the mentee run it and that the mentor's there to provide direct feedback. Okay, and that's my part. Do you have any questions for me?
Do you guys think that's a good change?
Yes.
Well,
Oh, yes.
Can we name this section after Sharon Donovan? Would that be
Yeah, I
reasonable to get that?
I do hope so. And also, I eventually joined her firm, so it really did work out for me. Any other questions for me?
I was glad to hear one thing that you said. I do intellectual property law, which is specialty, and a lot of the work that we do is transactional. And so if I were to be a mentor, I'd have to have a patent attorney or somebody going in that direction versus a family law.
That's exactly right.
Or-
And that is
So as
why,
long as we have the ability to pair that,
yes.
then that makes it workable.
And we did feel that was a crucial component, because there's also people who are not in Salt Lake County, like if they're in the 1st district, they really don't have a lot of the CLEs like the Pro Se calendar they could go to, or the Wills for Heroes. So it's really easy to complete these if you're in Salt Lake and if you're in litigation, but if you're not in those, it can be very difficult. So if you're in 6th district, then you're probably creating a lot of your own practical experiences. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, so back to Tara's question. Mentors get 12 CLE credits for mentoring during one terms. So like I said earlier, the terms go from July through June and January through December. The CLE credits are credited in the CLE year in which the term is finished or completed. I can't approve them for different years, and I apologize, but I can't. I'm so sorry, and I really like you. Like, oh, like I was talking about earlier, if you co-mentor or like some people do split half and half, that is allowable. You just need to make sure, keep track of who does what, so I know how to split up the credits. Does anyone else have any questions that aren't answered up here? Yes?
So do we have to do anything affirmative, or it's all, you just magically make it?
What?
Like you just enter the timings, or?
Yeah, I approve all the time, so yeah, you just tell me like, he did 8 months, I did 4 months, that's 12. I'm bad at math, I'm a lawyer, for a reason. That's just, and then I'll know how to split the credits percentage-wise. So I'll always give you the ethics credits. So with a split, I will always give a professionalism and a regular ethics credit, and then split the just regular CLE credits between the co-mentors, depending on how much they did. Yeah.
When you're emailing these materials, can you email the waiver also?
Yes, and the waiver, there should be a link on the website to all of those materials. Everything, the mentor manual, everything is updated on the website, so the waiver should be there, but yes, I can send a link. That is my contact information, and we have 15 minutes.
Yeah, do you have any questions?
Now you don't have questions.
Yeah.
Hi.
Just some small questions, just on numbers. How many lawyers come out, how many new lawyers come into the program every year or every 6 months, and how many mentors do you have, and are you in need of more?
Okay. Each year, I'm just trying to do the math. We have about 240 new attorneys in the program during January to December. So the January term is always bigger because that's when people pass the bar. They start in January. Was there another part of your question?
Do you need more?
How many mentors?
Oh yeah, okay,
And do you need more?
well, the mentor list is over 1,000 people have been approved. And I think that going through and updating our technology, how we do that, because some people apply and get approved and only do it once because they were just doing it for this one person. So we're going to be working on improving the selection by cutting down on those people who don't want to be involved anymore. And so people will have a better chance of finding a good mentor rather than, picking from, sometimes I have to send people names of people who haven't mentored in, 7 years, and that's just because there's a lot of new lawyers and a lot of good mentors, but a lot of people just can't do it. So we just need to figure out who is committed to the program and who wants to make it better. And I really think the bar is behind that. So that's, like I said, hopefully by October or December, that should be in place.
Do you know how many active lawyers or attorneys there are
Over 6,000, I think, of active members.
How many?
Over 6,000 active members that are active, like, there's lots more, like probably 12, 14 total, but 6 that are actively practicing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's right. Any suggestions or feedbacks on how we could make it more attractive for mentors?
yes, please, please. I'm always willing to hear any kind of criticism. I mean, I'd rather it be constructive, but, you know, or about my job at least, not about my personality.
Well, this question's intended to, I guess, inspire maybe some feedback. Do you have any sense about the percentage of mentees that just have a mentor through their employer?
I would say the majority of people do, because larger firms already had mentoring programs, internal programs in place, and I think the NLTP was, you know, kind of meant not to not serve people in larger firms, but to focus more on people who are in smaller firms or solo practitioners or who aren't from Utah. Or I've had a few people who have been licensed somewhere for 10 years but have never practiced, and they've moved here, and now they want to get licensed here, and they have to do this NLTP, and they want to because they realize how important mentoring is, but also building those relationships and the network that you get by being involved in things like this. So that's important to teach the new lawyers too. When I graduated from law school, they didn't have this. I think we had to do 8 hours. I think we were sworn in around the same time.
Yeah,
But they didn't, it wasn't very rigorous at all. And I was lost. I didn't do anything in law school that I would get practical experience, and I hadn't, you know, gotten jobs during the summer, and I did something with the judge. I mean, sorry. I did an externship with the judge in Nevada, and that was a very good experience, but I didn't have a lot of options. And if I'd had someone who could have taken, you know, taken me, put their arm around me and said, you know what, let's go talk to so-and-so, I think they'd have good advice for you. That would have meant the world to me. So you mean the world to someone. And especially if you're new and someone has asked you to be their mentor and you applied for this, they did that for a reason. They wanted you to be their mentor for a reason. So I just hope that yeah.
Oh, if I could weigh in on that. A lot of the mentees who did have someone in their firm mentor them, they said it was helpful for the ease factor, but a lot of those mentees also said they wish they would have gotten an outside mentor.
Well, that's my point.
Yeah, I think
Is that number 3 feedback up there was a safe space.
Yeah.
And another important element of this is introduction to the legal community. And my recommendation would be that you create a default provision that the mentee has to get someone outside of their firm.
Yeah,
If they can't find someone outside their firm, then they can have someone
Yeah,
within
and
their
that's
firm.
something
But
I-
if you created a default
Yeah.
requirement that it was outside their firm, I think you'd have a better experience for the mentees.
And I think when the program started, it was intended to kind of, it was modeled after the firms, how they do their mentoring. And so it was basically, I think the firms were supposed to manage it themselves and then tell us who was participating. But that's not how it's turning out.
Because I was there when it
Oh,
first
yeah,
started. I was there when it
please.
first started, and we were worried, we couldn't get people to sign up. And mentors were like, I don't have 20 hours in my year to give to some person I don't know.
Right.
And then, so we tried to make it as convenient for the mentors.
Right.
And if you notice that all my comments focus on mentors, because
Right.
I was there at the very beginning.
Oh, shoot.
But I think that we should think about the mentees too.
That's right.
And so I think now that we have gotten a good base of mentors, and people have gotten used to this for 10 years and they're doing it, doesn't seem so crazy anymore. When we first started this, they thought we were insane. But we started it. But I do think it does the mentees a disservice, because I know for a fact, they're like, oh, just put down that we talked. Or just put down that we did that.
Right.
And remember, lawyers are officers of the court, they are bound by the ethics, they are talking to our regulatory body, and they have an ethical obligation to be truthful too. So I think if we stress on both sides of the process, that you're teaching your mentee how to be ethical by ethically complying with the program. I mean, so, but I think that this is where the origins came from, is that we didn't have a lot of mentors. And we still have a lot relatively, but I do think it's such an essential component, and the more you give as a mentor, the more you get out of it, and you realize it's not that hard if you just bring someone into your world, as opposed to trying to carve out of your world for another third person.
Well, and that might be why we're seeing the issues that the big firms met about last year at the end of 2017, because if people are just doing the, checking off the boxes, like, yeah, we talked about that, and not really putting the work in, that's why the new lawyers seem to not have any clue about what's going on. I mean, not that we don't,
Well, I think it's an ethical component on the mentor training as well, and that both parties need to understand it's important, and that you're not just doing this because they have to. You're doing it because it's essential for the continuation of the professionalism of our profession.
Terry, I have on the safe space period, I'm in a big firm, and I've mentored people both in the firm and outside the firm, and at times I've combined one inside the firm and one outside the firm. And the first thing I tell the person inside the firm is, I'm not going to assign you any firm work, and that this is a safe space for you. I'm first a mentor, second a shareholder, and my office is a safe place for you. You can come and complain about any lawyer in this firm who you maybe is mistreating you, or you don't know how to deal with, or you need some background on, or a question in advance how to work with them. And with that, they find that as a very safe space, because sometimes the biggest stress of a first-year lawyer in a big firm is one of their scary partners in the firm, who maybe isn't that scary, but is perceived to be scary.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I really think that I've been stressing to the new attorneys, if they ask, should I have someone outside or inside, I always say outside. It's always good to have someone neutral who's not really involved at all. That's my opinion, that's not how everyone feels. But I think when we get this new platform, the software platform that will help people, it will do a better job of matching people in the same areas and same interests, so that you'll get a better connection. And that, I think, is where is more important than people think it is. Yeah.
So to that point, if you're paired up with someone and the perception is they're not doing the work, or you're just not jiving with them, is there a mechanism to show them?
Yes. So if that happens, contact me and just let me know. And if it's something on your end,
Or life gets in the way. And all
Yeah,
of a sudden
yeah.
you can't do it.
I am always, like I said, I try to be flexible enough to allow people extra time if they need it. Life happens, and I understand that. If you don't do 2 hours a month, if you have to do like 20 minutes one month, and then you do like a marathon something, 4 hours another month, that's fine with me. I just need to know at the end of the day, did the mentee complete the requirements of the program? And so that's where, you just keep in mind what they want to achieve, which is their goals that they fill out in the beginning, and then kind of try to steer them in the right direction.
Well, you mentioned that there's over 1,000 mentors in the program now. Hopefully, the software will weed that down, because you mentioned that a lot of those in there are not really interested. It was a one-off, if you will.
Right, and some, I can update the list.
I'm suddenly
sorry.
plugging you to get the software implemented sooner.
And what's your name, sorry?
Trevor Brad.
Trevor, believe me, I am trying.
I'm sure you are.
just a thought that came in my mind on that. what about just having us opt in or opt out every year with
Well,
an email?
Right, and how it's managed right now, that's not possible. But again, once we get something in place and bring our mentoring program into last decade, then it will make it easier for you. You will be able to control when people can search for you and when you come up in a search and when you can't. You'll be able to control anything. So I don't know if you have ever done internet dating or not. I myself met my husband on Match.com. I did. It's 14 years this year anyway. So it's like that. And BYU, their mentoring program internally at the school actually is partnering with Match.com to do exactly what we're talking about. So that's something that is in the works, and I'm trying to get it implemented as quickly as I can, because I want it to be as easy for you all as possible. And if you have any suggestions about how to do that, please contact me, let me know. Richard just gave me the 5-minute sign, so if there's any other questions? Anyone have anything else to say, any last words?
Be a mentor, enjoy it, it's fun.
I think it is. I mean, well, one story, my friend Tim is a mentor, Tim Larson. He's been a man. Let's just forget I said his name. It's another friend named Tim Larson. Anyway, I kind of volunteered him to be a mentor for someone, and he, took it to heart, and he was a really good mentor. Even though they didn't practice in any areas, Tim had contacts in the areas that his mentee was interested in, because his mentee was working in a job he didn't really enjoy. So Tim got the two together, and that's all he had to do, and his mentee got a job that he's always wanted. So it's not, that's the best case scenario for people sometimes, but it's going to be, you're going to get out of it what you put into it, and that's just true for everything, and especially for things like this. So, and I tell the new lawyers that too. If you put the effort into it, you're going to get more than what you put in. And they should know that by now, they're attorneys, but you'd be surprised what people don't know. So thank you so much again. Thank you for coming, and thank you for being mentors. I owe you one.